Good evening to all and welcome to the session, the Hindu Editorial Analysis for Proficiency in English. Let us start the session with a nice quote. What is the quote of the day? Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration. That is sweating. 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration. What does it mean? Hard work is a prerequisite. Is it on? Hard work is a prerequisite. And 99% it is hard work, 1% your inspiration. A very useful quote, and it was given by Thomas Edison. Today, you're going to improve your comprehension skill, effective vocabulary, idioms and phrases, essential grammar. Today, I haven't brought practice questions, but usually we have that. And enrich your word power. What are the words? Today's important editorial vocabulary. Today's editorial is all about the speaker. It goes with the US polity and new speaker. They have elected a new speaker. Based on that, a few important words we have come across for the first time. Very important words are there. And the very first one, internecine. We have never come across this, never heard of it. Part of speech adjective, destructive to both sides in a conflict. Imagine two sides in a conflict, they do something, it is destructive for both the parties. We use the word internecine. Dissonance, part of speech noun, lack of agreement or harmony between people or things. And advent, we have got a few times, part of speech noun, the arrival of notable person or thing. Advent of monsoon, advent of rains, advent of a political figure or a leader. Convulsions, again, we have come across for the first time, part of speech noun, a violent social or political upheaval. Upheaval means a revolt. A debacle, part of speech noun, we have come across a few times. Advent of winter, very good. A sudden and ignominious failure. And we have got the word fiasco many a time. Debacle, fiasco. Impede also we have got a few times, part of speech verb. And what is a noun form? Impediment. Part of speech, impede, hinder. Noun, hindrance. That is also right. Advent of Europeans. Acolyte we have come across for the first time. Part of speech noun. An assistant or follower. And cohort we have got a few times. Part of speech noun. A group of people with a shared characteristic. A group of people who are behind a particular leader. Confabulations we have come across for the first time. Part of speech noun. Conversation or discussion about something. These are the words you are going to learn today along with the context. And how does it start? Internecine squabbling. Squabbling means fighting, argue violently about silly or trivial issues, but not here, not a trivial issue. Internecine, destructive to both sides in a conflict. Squabbling, fighting, arguing violently over trivial issues, literal meaning, but here it does not mean that. On the dissonances within the Republican Party in the US. It's all about the dissonances within the Republican Party in the US. Dissonance, lack of agreement or harmony between people or things. What is the main idea of this editorial? The Republicans are a deeply polarized party after the advent of Trump. The Republicans are a deeply polarized party. That means what? There are two groups. When did it happen? After the advent of Trump, after the arrival of Trump. That is also right. The tone of the editorial is both analytical and critical. It analyzes, provides the background information, and critical. Why does it criticize? What does it criticize? When you go through, you understand. Reading comprehension, this editorial demands background knowledge referred to the US polity, related to the US polity, and the two-party system, Democrats and Republicans. Some background is required, otherwise a bit difficult to understand. Exam tips and tricks rather than tricks tip. It is important to develop contextual awareness related to US political system as well as the lexical terms that go with the context. These lexical terms you may come across whenever there is a passage related to polity or a particular system, democratic system. That way important. How does it start? After a prolonged spell. Prolonged means what? Some words have not brought in a different color because we have come across many a time. I'm sure you all know the meanings of these words. Prolonged means extend for a long time. Prolonged session, extended session. Spell has two different meanings, and it's an important word in the sense generally we say what is the spelling of a particular word. That way it is not important, but there's a phrasal verb. What is that phrasal verb? Spell out. Spell out means to tell something in detail, to say something in detail. And a common error they have given in exams also, spell it out in detail, then it is wrong. Spell out means to say something in detail, and if you say spell out in detail, it is redundancy, not correct. And spell also goes with monsoon, rains. We use dry spell, and you have to recollect the word drought, dry spell. Dry spell also goes with the field of sports. Imagine someone hasn't got a title or hasn't played well for quite some time. Then we say he is going through a dry spell. For that, we also say there's another word. He is going through a bad patch. Bad patch goes more with sports. After a prolonged spell of costly indecisiveness, not being firm, the US House of Representatives has finally elected, present perfect, a speaker, Representative Mike Johnson of Louisiana. This sentence talks about the House of Representatives, the US House of Representatives, has elected Mike Johnson of Louisiana as a speaker after a prolonged spell of costly indecisiveness. They delayed a lot, and after that they elected the speaker. And the editorial opines it is something like a costly indecisiveness. Delaying a lot is not good for the party, not good for the system. And why does it say recent weeks have seen present perfect tense convulsions. Convulsions, part of speech noun, a violent social or political upheaval, means something like a revolt. Upheaval usually goes with a revolt, a revolution, and a lot of people they try to go against the government. Then we use the word upheaval. In this context, I don't think it is a right word, but still, recent weeks have seen convulsions rock the house, a standard phrase, rock the parliament, rock the lower house, rock the upper house. You come across in the newspapers quite often. Recent weeks have seen convulsions rock the House as Republicans struggle to find a consensus candidate. Why the convulsions? Why have the convulsions rocked the House? If you ask the question, why have they rocked the House? The Republicans struggled to find a consensus candidate. They could not get a candidate accepted by all. And consensus, here you have to think of unanimous consensus. Consensus means unanimous. You cannot say unanimous consensus. And that's a common error. Candidate to lead the majority in the lower chamber of Congress. In this context, it refers to the speaker. They could not get the right candidate accepted by all to lead the majority in the lower chamber of Congress. After the political debacle means what? Failure, fiasco, a sudden and ignominious failure. Generally, we use the word fiasco, an important word. After the political debacle of the ouster of the previous speaker, removed, previous speaker was removed. Who was that? Who was the who is the person who got removed? Kevin McCarthy. And when was he removed? On October 3rd. After the political debacle of the ouster of the previous speaker, Kevin McCarthy, on October 3rd, laying bare, an important expression. Something lays bare means something exposes, makes something get exposed to the public. Lay bare means something becomes open, exposed. Laying bare the deeply factionalized landscape. In this context, landscape goes with the political landscape, factionalized means different groups are there. Laying bare the deeply factionalized landscape of the House Republican caucus, several party notables tried and failed to secure the confidence of the House majority in their bids for the top post. A lengthy sentence from here to here. But what does it say? There was a political failure. Political debacle means political failure or fiasco. After after the political debacle of the ouster of the previous speaker, Kevin McCarthy, laying bare that resulted in exposing the deeply factionalized landscape of the House Republican caucus. Here, caucus, the editorial has used the word caucus twice or thrice. Caucus is a term that goes with the US polity. Usually, there is a party at one level, district or state level, the party members meet and they support a particular candidate. That process is called a group of party members caucus. Landscape of the House Republican caucus, several party. After this debacle, many party leaders, party notables tried and failed. They tried and failed to secure the confidence of the House majority in their bids for the top post. What does it mean? After the ouster of the previous speaker, McCarthy, a lot of Republican leaders, notables, tried and failed. They could not secure the majority and to reach the top post. Initially, multiple closed door meetings failed to produce a consensus candidate. Initially, something happened. What happened? Multiple closed door meetings. This is also an important expression failed to produce a consensus candidate. They tried to have closed door meetings many a time, but they could not get a consensus candidate. Heavyweights, including and who all tried or who all contested, heavyweights including Tom Emmer of Minnesota, Jim Jordan of Ohio, and Steve Scalise of Louisiana were unable to secure the gavel by cornering the minimum of 217 votes despite being nominated to the role. All these people were nominated, but they failed to secure the minimum of 217 votes. There is one important word here, gavel, means it goes with a court. It also goes with a house, house in the sense upper house or lower house. It is a wooden hammer that is used to control the house, and the speaker uses that to control the house. Gavel, we have come across for the first time, wooden hammer. While Mr. Johnson has now emerged, present perfect, as a speaker, second in line for the US presidency after much confabulations and voting. Confabulations, another important word we have got for the first time, conversation or discussion about something. And who has emerged victorious? Mr. Johnson has emerged as a speaker and is second in line for the US presidency. First, I think Donald Trump. After much confabulations and voting, after much discussion, the politically messy process of his win signals it was not a smooth sail. It was a politically messy process. Mess has many meanings. It could be a noun, mess, it could be a verb. If you see English movies, quite often they say, don't mess with me, mess up. If you mess up with me, I will mess up with you. Messy process means not something correct and not acceptable. The politically messy process of his win signals this politically messy process indicates or signals something. What does it signal? Serious deadlock in the party and the chamber. No consensus that results in a deadlock. In a sense, the intra-party fractures, inter-party between the parties, intra-party within the party. In a sense, a standard phrase, the intra-party fractures that impede means hinder, the House Republican caucus from taking forward funding bills relating to the US federal government, Israel and Ukraine, reflect the contradictions between the congressmen who support and are supported by former President Donald Trump on the one hand, and those who are not in that category on the other. Based on this, it says fractured party. Some people support Trump, some people don't support Trump. Because of that, they failed or something got blocked, hindered. What got hindered? The bills relating to the US federal government, Israel and Ukraine, reflect the contradictions between the congressmen who support Trump and who don't support Trump. Shortly after Mr. Emmer pulled out of the contest, one particular candidate pulled out of the contest. Shortly after that, Mr. Trump has made a statement. What has he said? Mr. Trump described him on social media as a rhino or Republican name only. Republican in name only. This is an acronym. RINO, Republican name only, not in the real sense. Who never respected the power of a Trump endorsement. Trump supported someone, and this person did not respect that endorsement. And based on that, Mr. Trump called him a rhino, or who could not, Republican name only, who never respected the power of a Trump endorsement, or the breadth and scope of MAGA. I don't know what exactly MAGA means, and that it would be a tragic mistake to support him. Indirectly, he said, don't support him. Trump acolytes, acolyte we have got for the first time, an assistant or follower. Trump, those who follow Mr. Trump, Trump acolytes in the House took their cue from the 45th president, it appears, and they are a sizable cohort. Cohort means a group of people supporting someone with similar ideas. Looking beyond the political embarrassment of this rupture, it portend also we have got many a time, project or predict or talk about the future, predict the foresee the future, portends trouble for the grand old party in the 2024 presidential election. It certainly does appear at this time as though Mr. Trump will win his party's nomination by a considerable margin. This talks about the possibility of Trump becoming the presidential candidate. Looks like it certainly does appear emphatic at this time as though Mr. Trump will win his party's nomination by a considerable margin. However, many traditional conservatives do not side with him on hot button issues. Many people don't support him on hot button issues or perhaps controversial issues, including criminal charges that he faces, for example, for obstructing justice in seeking to delegitimize the results of the 2020 presidential election. He tried to obstruct justice, and based on that, some party members may not like him, may not go with him. If the House's Speaker saga indicates anything, saga means a story, something that happened for a long time. Already, editorial has mentioned prolonged fiasco. Indicates anything, it is that the dissonances, means the disagreements within the Republican Party, will sooner or later be manifested, will be shown in popular anger among conservatives, and that might be an even greater barrier to Mr. Trump's political ambitions than the opposition he faces from Democrats. What does it mean? The last sentence, it talks about the among the party, Republican Party members, there are some conservatives. He may face opposition from them, and this would be a greater barrier compared to the opposition he may face from the Democrats, the other party. That's how it ends. And because of the bad throat, I could not take yesterday. Today also I've just brought the editorial to keep in touch with you guys. Please understand seasonal changes. Last 2 weeks I have been suffering, and I'm in the field of teaching. Bad throat, obviously, doctors say don't teach, but I have to teach. So I'm trying to cut down what is essential I'm doing. Yesterday I could not take, today I have taken, and today I feel much better. The other day also I was not comfortable. I try to understand, but once I feel completely fit, only the throat point of view, voice point of view, you will have the classes regularly. Thank you very much for being with me till the fag end of the session, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.